there's a voice in your head that no one else hears. It whispers doubts. It shouts insecurities. It tells you you're not good enough. That every misstep is proof you'll never be enough. We all have it, the inner critic. But what if I told you that nearly 2,000 years ago, ancient philosophers faced the same voice and found a way to silence it? Not with empty affirmations or feel-good fluff, but with brutal clarity and timeless truth. In this video, you'll uncover 3 Stoic principles that can dismantle your inner critic quietly, powerfully, and permanently. So if that voice in your head has ever held you back, stay with me. What you're about to learn could change how you speak to yourself for the rest of your life. We all hear it. That voice in the back of our minds whispering, or sometimes shouting, criticisms, doubts, and fears. It says we're not good enough, smart enough, fast enough, or disciplined enough. It mocks our efforts, highlights our shortcomings, and thrives on comparison. This is the inner critic. It's the psychological shadow that haunts even the most successful among us. But long before modern psychology gave it a name, ancient Stoic philosophers knew its nature and how to defeat it. Stoicism, a school of philosophy born in the fire of ancient Greece and Rome, offers a powerful counter to this internal antagonist. Its lessons are as timely now as they were 2,000 years ago. While the world has changed drastically, the human struggle against self-doubt remains stubbornly familiar. At its heart, Stoicism is a practice of personal strength, clarity, and resilience, a toolkit for the mind. Here are 3 Stoic truths that can help you silence your inner critic and live with greater confidence and peace. 1. You are not your thoughts, you are the judge of them. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. The inner critic often feels like an uncontrollable force, like a weather system that rolls in uninvited. It speaks in absolutes and attacks with precision. But the first Stoic truth dismantles its power: you are not your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king of Rome, kept a personal journal to confront his inner dialogue. In it, he reminded himself and us that the mind is like a courtroom. Thoughts arrive as witnesses, but you are the judge. You choose which thoughts to believe, which to examine, and which to dismiss. The inner critic thrives when we identify with it, when we assume that a critical thought must be true because we had it. But not all thoughts are created equal. Stoicism teaches us that thoughts are merely impressions, mental events, not facts. When the inner critic says, "You're a failure," the Stoic response isn't to argue emotionally but to examine logically. Is this thought true? What evidence supports it? Is it helpful or harmful? This practice is known as prohairesis, or the ability to choose your response. The Stoics believe that while we cannot always control what pops into our minds, we can control what we give our attention to. When we stop passively agreeing with every thought and begin to question and redirect them, the inner critic begins to lose its grip. Start a daily journaling habit. When negative thoughts arise, write them down. Then respond to them as if you're a Stoic judge. Is this thought rational? Does it help me act with courage, justice, wisdom, or self-discipline? Over time, this builds the habit of mindful detachment from toxic self-talk. 2. Character is the only true measure of worth. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Epictetus. The inner critic often weaponizes our insecurities about achievement, appearance, social standing, and failure. It compares us to others and finds us lacking. But the Stoics remind us of a radical truth: external success does not define internal worth. Epictetus, a former slave-turned-philosopher, endured extreme adversity. Yet he insisted that a person's true value lies not in what they own, accomplish, or display, but in how they live. Character, how you respond to life, is the only thing fully within your control, and therefore the only thing that truly matters. This insight slices through the noise of social media comparisons, perfectionism, and fear of failure. the inner critic loses its leverage when we stop playing its game. If our self-worth isn't tied to perfect results, but to consistent, virtuous effort, then we become unshakable. To the Stoics, it was never about being perfect, it was about being better. Better in your choices. Better in your discipline. Better in your mindset. You could fail 100 times, and still be successful if your character grows stronger each time. Redefine your goals from outcome-based to character-based. Instead of "I must get the promotion," focus on "I will bring discipline and integrity to my work." Instead of "I must lose 20 pounds," try "I will treat my body with respect and consistency." When you anchor self-worth and values, the critic loses its favorite weapon, fear of failure. 3. Adversity reveals, it doesn't define. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius. The inner critic often flares up when life doesn't go according to plan. Rejection, loss, illness, setbacks, they become evidence that we are broken or undeserving. But the Stoics saw adversity not as condemnation, but as a crucible. A place of testing, not of judgment. Seneca, another Stoic master, believed that hardship was not just unavoidable but essential. He likened adversity to fire, it either consumes the weak or tempers the strong. In other words, adversity reveals who we are, it doesn't define what we're worth. This Stoic truth helps us reinterpret our struggles. Instead of listening to the inner critic say, "You failed, so you are a failure," the Stoic says, "You struggled and this is your training ground." Every difficult experience becomes a lesson in resilience, every stumble a chance to build endurance. The trick is in perception. If we see setbacks as signs of inadequacy, we suffer twice, once from the event, and again from our judgment of it. But if we see them as opportunities to practice courage and growth, then even failure becomes useful. When adversity strikes, ask the Stoics question, what virtue is this situation asking me to practice? Is it patience, humility, perseverance, or courage? Frame the challenge as a chance to exercise your inner strength. This reframing doesn't eliminate pain, but it eliminates unnecessary self-punishment. Silencing your inner critic isn't about shouting it down with false positivity. It's about replacing distortion with clarity. Stoicism doesn't ask you to ignore flaws or pretend life is easy. It asks you to see clearly and act wisely. In conclusion, there's no final cure for the inner critic. Even the Stoics, with their legendary discipline, struggled with self-doubt. That's why they practiced daily. They knew that peace of mind isn't a gift, it's a discipline. You may never fully silence the inner critic, but you can outgrow its influence. You can learn to see it for what it is, a voice, not a verdict. You can train your mind to respond with reason, virtue, and courage. And you can remind yourself, day after day, of what the Stoics knew. You are not your thoughts. You are not your failures. You are not your circumstances. You are the one who chooses what they mean. So next time the inner critic rises, don't fight it with fear or flattery. Greet it like a Stoic. Judge its truth. Measure your character. And let adversity make you stronger. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.